We're locked down again! So I've got a cough, which means that I can't leave the house. So I'm stuck in with these two, getting loads of housework done, but I thought, what a better time to make a video than now. So I'm gonna do a video on what I think of COVID. What do you think of COVID? She doesn't care. It's taking so long for us to get these tests that I'm kind of just waiting. So I called in sick yesterday morning and it's now 12:30 the next day in the afternoon. So, you know, I'm not knocking the system, but obviously it's taking quite a while. I've had to put my weekend on hold as well. So, I mean, what would be great is if we have these tests for flu and they take 30 minutes to come back, which is crazy. Funnily enough though, at the moment we're not testing for any viruses apart from COVID at our hospital anyway. God knows what will happen when we need to test for flu as well. I feel like, I don't know, there's obviously a lot of things that are going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. Yeah, we've had quite a while to prepare for this. I just wonder if we are as prepared as we could be, and we are going to need to increase our testing capacity. And I've made some bread. Well, I've made some dough. It yet remains to be bread. It's not really done that much rising, if I'm honest. Probably because it's quite cold. Oh God, I don't know what happened to this bread, but it literally did not rise. I don't know what was wrong. Maybe it was the yeast or something. Anyway, I decided not to bake it, mainly because it was just going to be a solid slab of dough. But also, I forgot that I don't have an oven. The story is, I woke up yesterday and I went outside and I was literally ready to leave for work and I started coughing. I was like, I don't know if this is classed as a continuous cough. So I looked it up literally as I was about to go to work. And I thought, well, I don't know. And if I have COVID, then I go into the hospital and I start coughing more, then that, you know, I've put loads of people at risk. So I had to make this decision. I was literally running just on time. Like, if I literally had like 2 minutes to make this decision. So I stood out there in my garage with my bike and I was like, God, what shall I do? So I thought, well, I better play it safe. There's, you know, currently enough staff on the ward, and I guess that made me feel a bit better about it, although I guess it shouldn't have really changed the decision. I then had to, just had to call in sick, and I'm still waiting for my swab. I've had one before and it's almost definitely one of the worst medical procedures I've ever had, but then I haven't had very many and I imagine there's definitely worse. And I've definitely done, you know, worse to people. I look really tired. I think it's this lighting. I'm stood right next to the kitchen window, so it's very natural light, but it's very like down. God, I look awful. Anyway, I hope you're having fun watching me wash up. Do you like a multitask? I've forgotten what I was saying now. Oh yeah, it's one of the worst. So my housemate did it to me last time, like did the swab, and I mean, I would rather just have it done properly and have it, you know it's correct. So I said, look, I don't want to do it, which I fear is what I'm going to have to do my own this time because I don't have a housemate. He'd done loads on patients already, so I just thought he would do it better than I would. So he very viciously shoved it into what it felt like my brain. Yeah, well, that was negative. But my housemate was positive, so we still had to stay indoors. But weirdly, I didn't get it, and that's like, I didn't get COVID, and I don't understand it because I was literally in very close proximity to him. I had negative antibodies, I had negative swab. I just don't get it. I honestly don't understand this disease. Like, maybe because we've just never like closely monitored transmission of diseases before. But, well, I haven't anyway. But yeah, it was just super weird because none of my housemates got it, and there was 4 of us in the house. And I'm pretty sure I don't have it now. Like, I feel quite well. However, I have coughed, and I have coughed since that episode. So I guess I remain guilty until proven otherwise, or positive until proven otherwise. I guess I feel sorry for the dogs a bit because they don't they have a garden. They don't really have much to do. They can't go out for big long walks, and I feel like people aren't going to want to take them out for me, so I haven't asked. But I feel like I'm going to have the cleanest house after this. I've just got to go hang up my washing, and if anybody wants to sponsor me for some new clothes, that would be really great because mine are all very old and I've all got holes in. I feel like this video could potentially be super boring, but I want to talk about well, what I think of COVID, but I think I'll get onto that in a minute. I think it's going to be really controversial because everybody has different opinions, and I think it's really split the world. And I think as a doctor or medical staff in general, we've just really sort of been been advised to set a good precedent for the public. And I think I was kind of reluctant to make this video, but I think it is important. As a doctor, I do feel like it's difficult for us to get our own opinion across, and we're always taught in medical school, you know, not to say our opinions to patients. But I keep my opinions away from consultations, unless, you know, we're just talking about general like stuff. I don't know, like what we like to do at the weekend. But I do feel like we are forced to sort of, I keep saying forced, these are very, these are words that are really sort of heavy, aren't they? I guess it's difficult for us to say our opinions, especially when it relates to things like COVID. I recognise that I've also had a very good sort of, well, not good, as in I've had like almost no exposure to COVID. I've met a couple of my friends who have had it, but they've all been well. And so I'm seeing a really blinkered view of, you know, this pandemic. I'm in the southwest, so there's not really many cases. Yeah, I also recognise that I'm doing my washing and housework whilst doing this video, but I thought it would be a bit more candid than me sitting here and discussing things, because, you know, now you can see what lockdown doctor life is like, because this is what I'm doing. I can't do work from home. They could send me some work, I don't know what I'd do, because it's all about seeing patients and I haven't got a work computer. I think the NHS is going to be in a really tricky position when all the coughs and colds come out. I don't know how we're going to maintain staffing levels, because as you can see here, I'm quite well, however I did have a cough. So where do you draw the line between protecting people by not going in and protecting people by keeping the wards well staffed? I just want to show you my socks. This is what I mean when I don't know if you can even see that. One sec. Oh! I just opened the window. I mean, this is probably the worst pair, but this is what I mean when I talk about that I need clothes sponsoring. So, what else? I won't show you my underwear because it's probably the worst bit, but you know, that's not. So yeah. And everybody thinks doctors are really rich, but I've got a lot of debts. Oh yeah, whenever I look at my paycheck, it's literally the worst. I just can't look at it. God, I'm getting into like, I really do ramble. I think I just talk too much. Bought this new cactus. I think it looks pretty cool. I really like cacti, but I actually killed my last one because I watered it too much, which I didn't realise was a thing. It got diseased and rotten, started to go a bit like mushy and black, and I was like, that doesn't look good. If you cut away the rot, you might be able to save it. I did like a little surgical procedure on it. Not this one, obviously, this is a new one. I did a little surgical snip. It took me ages. I ended up just cutting away most of the cactus. It was like, out of like a cactus this big, there was like that much left. I kept cutting away. There was just more dead cactus. If you miss any, it just gets ravaged by this fungus. I came back after being away on some annual leave a few days later, and he had died, unfortunately. So that was the end of that one. I think following on from my chat earlier about doctors not really saying what we want, my little map, I think that's really been reflected in my YouTube content. And I know my first video, I was like, oh, it took me so long to record because I just kept redoing bits of it. And that is because I just sit at my dining room table. And that is because I was so like frightened about what to say. But I think I'm loosening up a bit now. I still don't think I'm quite myself, and I think what's helped is turning my camera around so I can actually see myself. So I'm filming on my iPhone. Which is alright quality, I think, but you know, some people have cameras which are definitely better. God, I really do just blab on and on. I think that's my problem. I just like to talk. So yeah, I think I've improved a lot, and I was very like, you know, had to be, and I think it's because I was worried about like being a doctor in like on YouTube, you know, and I'm still like careful as to what I do and what I say. I can't do and say what some YouTubers might do and say, but I just call myself a YouTuber. I think I've got like 11 subscribers. Anyway, I think I need to get into the actual content about what I was going to talk about. So excitingly, my last clip was cut. Oh, that's my. So excitingly, my last clip was just cut off by a call from Devon Freewheelers, who have offered me an appointment at 2, so it's now 1:30, at Sandy Park, which is the rugby pitch. So I'm gonna drive there and get my horrible nose swab done. That's very exciting. I don't know when I'll get the result back, probably not very soon. I really don't feel sick enough to like have this done, but I guess it's important. I think I've felt a real like strong moral like difficulty because I work in a hospital and I don't want to put people at risk. And I'm like 99% sure. In fact, I would say 100% sure that this is going to be negative. Otherwise, it's another 7 days in my house. Well, no, it would be 5 days because it'd be 7 days from symptoms. But I'll let you know the result. can't stop taking videos of how cute they look. Why do you look so comfy? So comfy. Oh, Bailey's made residence on this beanbag, which I bought from Aldi ages ago. But he loves it. It's the right size for you, isn't it? And I was thinking about making a like me-sized beanbag like that, but then I thought, where the hell would I would I put it? Well, this is actually quite exciting because what started as a day in the life of a COVID lockdown doctor has transformed into going to get my swab. Oh, that's my mark on my screen. So actually I can kind of document that as well, which is quite exciting. I feel like this is a bit like an MOT where you're not allowed to leave the house or you're not allowed to drive your car unless you have an MOT booked and you're going like to your MOT. So that's a bit like what I'm doing, I feel. I'm not allowed to leave the house unless I have a COVID swab. I've also got this really weird clicking in my ear every time I do that. Sounds like a little very odd. Okay, I'm in my car. I'm in my car. Brum brum. I feel like there's been quite a significant lack of trust in the COVID testing especially from, well, medical staff, but I mean that's probably all the people I speak to, but also from just because we heard at the start that the sensitivity to the test, which is how many sort of true positive it picks up, was only like 70%. I don't know if that's improved, but I think the general standing now is that if it's negative, then we just accept that it's negative, but it's still quite difficult to get our head around. So let's go. I feel like I really want to film this conspicuously. Yeah, that's the word. But I'm not like a confident enough vlogger right yet to be doing that. I don't know, am I in the right place? Oh, I'm being told to go forwards. There's literally nobody here. Right, I'm gonna go. Oh God, well that was quite awful. But it wasn't as bad as when my housemate did it actually. So I think it's like one thing being in lockdown, like as a young person anyway, I wasn't shielding. So as a young person I was still allowed to like leave the house for my exercise. But when it changed, I was really got my nose all like, she went in there for quite a while, like five seconds, 1, 2, probably 7, maybe 7 seconds. You actually think that having like time off will be really good until you do get time off and you can't actually do anything with that time off. The dogs are, because I literally went out for like less than half an hour. As you can see, it's now, well, you can't see, 2 o'clock and I'm back. And you act like I've been gone. No. Hours. And you're being a good boy. In your bed, Lila. Bed. No, bed. Good girl. Okay, so I got to the end of editing the video and I was like, where the hell is the discussion about, you know, the whole purpose of this video, about what I think of COVID? And I realised that it was a 14-minute video and it was basically just me kind of waffling and playing with the dog, and I didn't really get anywhere. So I've summarised some of the main points and I'm going to try and keep myself down to a couple of minutes because I'm a real blabberer. So firstly, I recognise that I haven't really seen any COVID, so I could be saying all of this shit and it, you know, doesn't mean a thing. But it does seem like we've prepared, and we have prepared the NHS, and that's what we were protecting it for. You know, we've got the Nightingale, and we know a bit better how to treat COVID. I just feel like we really can't avoid it forever. I think vaccines are amazing. I want to put that out there. I'm no anti-vaxxer, but personally I'm not resting my hopes on a vaccine, and I don't think a vaccine will be the end of pandemics in this era. Also, depending on the circumstances in which it was made, I would really question its safety, and obviously this is dependent on many factors, but I think ultimately vaccines don't stop carriers. So really the vulnerable should be vaccinated first and foremost, but I do have concerns that NHS workers will be obliged to be vaccinated to continue to work. And personally, I think this is a bit ethically questionable. What are my thoughts on lockdown? Now, I think initially this was needed, but now I just think we are ruining people's lives. I just feel really sorry for people that are still really scared to go outside. And I worked with an elderly population over lockdown, and they were absolutely terrified. And what a life to live, just a life in fear. And this is where I'm going to go on to the news, because I don't feel like they've handled this well at all. And I know that's what sells, but fear should never have been the way, because it was all about staying safe and, staying alert. But it was never about, shuddering in the corner of your living room because you're too scared to go outside. It should be about being sensible and doing things in the safest way possible. So, if you want to see somebody, then do it sensibly. And a lot of people say, well, people can't do it sensibly. That shouldn't therefore be a lockdown for everybody, in my opinion. And we've completely put physical health over the importance of mental health. It's like it's been completely forgotten. Also, I just don't think we're in a second surge. Everyone keeps going on about the second surge, and yet nobody's noticed. Well, it hasn't happened. Yes, cases have gone up, but also testing has increased. So I remember at the start, I would never have been able to get a COVID test, and I've had 2 now. So, and a lot of the people that are positive with COVID aren't actually sick. Whereas before it was just people in care homes and hospitals. So obviously they were very unwell and at high risk of dying. So I think we need to compare the ratio of positives to mortality to actually compare those figures. I just don't feel like we really live in a democracy anymore, and we're supposed to be living under free will and free speech, but even by saying all of this, I feel naughty because it's not what we've been told by the government, and it's not, a lot of people would think that this would be irresponsible for me to say it, but I'm entitled to my own opinion, and I'm not saying that this is what everybody else should do, but what I do think is that people should also think about their mental health, and I would advocate for that. I feel like we're living under an illusion that we have a democracy and free will, but as soon as that shatters and reality hits, I feel like physicality and brutality will prevail again in terms of riots. And are we just going to stay locked up forever? Because I think we're going to see another disease. I feel like if that's the case, then sadly I don't think COVID will be the death of us, and I think ultimately mental health, sedentariness, and the human race will be. I just wanted to show you all my new setup, and I feel like a real pro. I feel like I'm getting better at this, and I hope that this shows. I just wanted to show you my really cool invention of a new mouse mat because I don't have one. You are welcome. And I also want to say a massive thank you to Shiny Films, who got me through making this video, because I just downloaded Hit Film Express, the free version, and the software's so complicated that it's taken me ages to try and figure it out. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.